informed that the landfill was no longer going to be accepting storm debris. We all said, what the hell? What kind of sense does that make? So they said that FEMA was going to be setting up free dump zones and that we would go and empty our loads there. Information was supposed to be released last night on some of the city's websites. Well, I went to St. Pete's website, I went to the Pinellas County website, I went to the dumps website, nothing was there. I went to FEMA's website, nothing was there. So 4:30, got up, hooked up some trailers, headed to the landfill. They had a sheriff there turning people away and saying, you cannot dump here. And I said, well, where am I supposed to go? And he said, there's no information online. I said, go online, find the FEMA website. I said, you pull out your phone, you show me where it is. And they started going through it, and they said, you got to get out of here. You're obstructing traffic, and you can either leave right now or you can leave in the back of the sheriff car. So I pulled away. I went to what's called a transfer station. It's much more expensive. It's a fee that has to be passed on to the client, otherwise I would literally be operating at a loss. And they said that FEMA has come in and shut down the landfill, shut down the waste management's transfer station, and we were not allowed to dump there, and we had to go to these FEMA sites. I said, well, where are these FEMA sites? No one can tell us. They still didn't have the information. So I decided to call one of the biggest companies in the area, definitely a competitor, and I said, look, I'm a smaller business, and I'm curious, do you guys know where we're supposed to empty the storm debris? And I apparently got on the phone with someone pretty high up in the company. I don't know if it was the owner or the owner's son, but he was really well informed, pretty pissed off about the situation. He started to laugh and said, yeah, there's 3 dump sites set up by FEMA, and they're for resident use only. You cannot go in there with a commercial grade truck, you cannot go in there with a commercial grade trailer, you can't go in there with anything with any lettering on it. And they had asked them, well, what do you suggest that we do with the thousands of bins that we have rented out, full of trash, ready to go to the landfill right now? And they said, dump it back in the people's driveways. FEMA will get around to cleaning up on our own. He said, what do you mean FEMA's going to clean up? They said, over the course of the next year, FEMA will be picking up all the trash. So in the meantime, over the course of the next year, and this is from personal eyewitness thing, as I was dropping off dump trailers, within 2 days, there's mold inside people's homes. That mold doesn't stop growing just because you take the trash out and you put it at the road. It's going to be growing at the road. And they want all that stuff to sit there for a year while they clean up. We got all the stuff picked up. It's in bins. We're ready to go to the landfill, and they're refusing us at the landfill, and they're suggesting that we take this stuff back and dump it in your yards. We need you to call the city, call the mayor, call FEMA, call the Pinellas County landfill, call Governor Ron DeSantis. Speak up. Otherwise, we're going to be staring at this trash for over a year.
Although the debris might be picked up off the curb for many, residents are still trying to pick up the pieces of what Hurricane Ian left behind.
I was shocked to learn that 66 days after landfall, FEMA hasn't placed a single trailer, and they only have 11 trailers in processing to help the more than 12,000 residents who've applied for housing.
Lee County Chairman Brian Hammond says he's disappointed to hear this from FEMA at their workshop Tuesday.
But instead, FEMA has said, we're not going to put FEMA trailers in a flood zone. We're not going to help flood victims because they live in a flood zone.
The one-year anniversary of the Joplin Tornado is Tuesday.
But many people believe today is the day to remember. Krista DeVille is in Joplin tonight. And Krista, a lot has happened in the past year.
A lot has happened in works of rebuilding, but a lot is still to be done. We're about a half a mile from the hospital that sits in ruins. We're about a few blocks from the high school that's now leveled with debris full of it. And we're sitting here, and you can still see the outline of a home that was just completely ripped away by wind that day, and you see growth happening in what used to be mud underneath the home. But right next door is the rebuilding.
4 months after Hurricane Michael, hundreds of people across the Florida Panhandle remain homeless, taking shelter in tents and temporary FEMA trailers. The federal agency in charge of disaster response has already set up nearly 500 of the trailers in makeshift communities across Panama City.
FEMA could be a good Halloween theme. 5 weeks after Harvey, debris still sits outside a number of homes in the Cinco Ranch area, but amid the damaged furniture, belongings, and sheetrock, you'll also find a unique Halloween display with a particular theme in honor of FEMA.
We had still had 2 feet of water in the street, and they said they'd call back in 10 days, and they never called back.
FEMA is tremendously prepared. This is what we do. This is what they do. And the key here, Rebecca, is also to make sure that the communities who are potentially impacted are prepared as well.
Several months later,
we're not getting the amount of support that we need.
We haven't seen FEMA, we haven't seen Red Cross, we haven't seen Hearts with Hands, we've seen no agencies come through here. Most people drive through with their cameras out, filming us like we're animals in a zoo, and don't stop.
How could the government do us like this, and how could the whole country just forget about us? Like, it's not enough. What is being done is not enough. I mean, there are entire communities that have been just decimated. There is, I mean, where is our government? I mean, for Kamala, and I am an avid supporter for her to stand in Florida today and make a statement. Where is our government?
Sources say over 1,000 troops in North Carolina are just sitting around doing nothing, waiting for orders that haven't come. They haven't heard from the North Carolina governor, and the Biden administration's blocking ongoing rescue operations.
They're in the way. They are directly interrupting our ability to conduct missions and operations. And I'm not going to disparage anybody because we are trying to work within partner relationships, both government and non-government entities within state and federal and county. I went to put a couple of people into a hotel last night, and they have a security guard at the hotel. They said, "Oh, we're so sorry. The entire hotel has been booked for federal employees." And I was like, no, I have people that would just pull it out of a mountain that are living out in the hills, and there's not a place for me to put them because we have federal employees that are staying in the hotel. I slept in this white car last night. I smell like foot and death right now, as does every single person on our team.